Hey there, I've been deep in the IT trenches for the past decade, and throughout my journey I've had the chance to interview numerous young IT enthusiasts. One striking commonality: they all seem to be missing a crucial piece, the fundamentals, from understanding the development process to working seamlessly in a team, dealing with the setups and beyond. So I've decided to roll out a course that covers it all. We'll dive into the essentials, how to find information, and more importantly, how to apply it. But here's the deal. Before diving into this course, make sure you've got your basics. I'm talking about networking and PHP because I'm gonna be using Drupal, which is based on PHP. Before moving on, I have to say that I find macOS to be the best of both worlds, offering an elegant graphic UI alongside with the power of Linux. As we go through examples, know that they are crafted to effortlessly run on both Mac and Linux. Windows enthusiasts, be ready for a bit of tweaking by yourselves. Let's kick off by discussing the structure of folders. Personally, I prefer keeping each project in its own dedicated folder, like a sandbox. Typically, I start by creating a global folder with the project name. For today's illustration, we'll use Drupal flow as an example. Moving on, let's establish some fundamental folders. Let's start with docs. This is where I store all project-related documents. Typically, it's some text files with some description, explanations, or something. Maybe some links to API documentation or other useful stuff. Another one is TMP. This is a designated folder for temporary files. This comes in handy when you need a place to store files while switching between branches or managing other tasks. It's just like a trash bin. And the last but not the least, Drupal flow, which is the project's name, and env, which stands for environment. Basically, it serves as the project's root. Docs and TMP, or maybe something else you might need, never get to repo, but what inside Drupal flow env does. Feel free to create as many folders as you need. That's your project, that's your sandbox, and you have to be comfortable in your own environment. Okay, move on to setting up a Docker environment. What's Docker, you ask? Docker is a user-friendly tool that lets you replicate the resources you need for a project, mirroring a real server experience in a simplified and local environment. But Docker manages individual containers, so let's use Docker Compose for smooth coordination through a simple YAML file. What's Docker Compose? Docker Compose is a companion tool that simplifies multi-container Docker applications, enabling you to define and manage multiple services in one single file. So let's create a simple Docker Compose.yaml file to review how it works. Alright, I'm gonna demonstrate a basic web server setup that will serve a simple HTML file as our starting point. Then I'll gradually add more features until we have a robust boilerplate for our upcoming projects. And now we have to define the basic file structure, that containers and stuff. But how we know what has to go here? As I have promised, I'm gonna be showing you how to search for the information. So basically, we can Google it. It's a Docker Compose documentation. So here we have some links. we're looking for this Docker docs overview, and we need this page. I'm going to be showing you all the lines and stuff I'm using in my work, and I will explain what does what. So basically you do not need to go through all the documentations and read it by yourself. So this is the basic file structure. Also we have some examples and other configurations we can use. So the first line is the version of the tool we are going to be using. In this specific case is 3.7, but you can read what difference it makes in the documentation. Then we have to specify our services. In this example, I'm gonna set some simple web server, so let's call it web. Then we have to specify image, and the same, what's image, what name should we use for that image, what configurations, what parameters, and so on. Let's just Google it. So this is a link we're looking for. This is a Docker Hub website, which basically contains all the information, all the images, and a lot of useful stuff. And usually you have a overview page of the image you're looking for or you're using. So, and here we have some examples how we can use this particular image as a standalone image with just a Docker app or an example of Docker Compose service. So that's our name. Okay, next is, where's example? We have that volumes. Volumes, basically it's a mapping between our host machine and Docker container internal file structure. So this is our host's path, and this path, what is inside Docker container. So volumes, the same, I'm going to be using templates folder, and as in the example, this particular image stores its static files inside users share nginx HTML. So as you can see, we do not have that templates folder yet. So let's create it. And obviously we need a file to serve. So let's create HTML file, index.html. Good. One, it works. It's alive. Nice. Okay, now we have to specify ports. Basically, it's a mapping between our host machine ports and Docker container internal ports. So I'm gonna be using port 8080 on my machine, And this particular nginx image serves everything on port 80, which is regular HTTP port. Also, we have that environment variables. This is how we can modify the behavior of the image. So we can specify some settings. Environment. So basically what we say here is the host name our nginx would be serving for and the port. Basically that's the same what we have specified here. So, and the main point we have to specify it is this variable. So if we change it for 800, for example, we have to change it here, but not otherwise. I'm gonna be using a terminal to start the environment. It's a simple command, docker compose up. Hit enter. Now it works. Let's check it. Foobar.com 8080. And nothing, because there is no foobar on our local machine. If you wanna make it work, we have to modify hosts file. I'm going to be showing you it a bit later. For now, we can use a trick. Let's stop it. We can use localhost instead. Let's start it back again. Nice. Yep, now it works. So what's going on with the foobar.com and why it's not working? Basically, our local machine can't resolve the domain name into the IP, but our local machine knows that localhost leads to 127.0.0.1, which is loop back. Basically, it's the IP address of your own local machine. So, how to make it work? We have to modify a hosts file. The file is located in the etc folder, and we have to have root rights to modify files inside that folder. So we're going to be using sudo command, and also I'm going to be using Nena as my favorite text editor. So etc hosts. The structure of the file is pretty simple. Everything that starts with the hash is a comment. So your local machine will ignore everything that starts with hash code. And rest are actual comments. So here you can see that loop back IP address and its domain name, localhost. So what we have to do, we have to add a simple line, which is our loopback IP and our domain name, which is foobar.com. Save it. Let's change it back to com. Now docker compose up to start our server, and let's check it. So com. Yep, now it works. And one more thing. Let's modify this file to be sure that we're serving this specific file. And yes, we are. Let's call it a day. If you like the video, please subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. In the upcoming video, I'm gonna show you how to serve PHP files and more, so stay tuned.